Hey Bulldogs, let's see what's going on this week in Code Blue News. Kevin goes over the Electoral College and its history, Natalie gives an update on this winter's sports season, and Joe takes a closer look at the new Esports club. Now please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance in a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. Hey Bulldogs, welcome back to Cold Blue News Season 3. I'm Matthew Messina here with George Sarr, 6 feet apart.
First of all, we just want to say, how in the world is there only 14 more days of 2020?
We are in the home stretch, ladies and gentlemen.
On the 14th, the Electoral College met and casted their votes for president and vice president. Joe Biden was given 306 electoral votes, and Donald Trump was given 232. This reaffirmed Biden's victory as he crossed the 270 threshold. I gotta be honest, Matt, I'm 17 and still barely know how the Electoral College works.
Well, you're in luck, George, because the Kevin Hillman is here to explain the point of the Electoral College and how it works.
Hi, welcome back to Politics with Kev. Today we're going to be talking about the Electoral College. The Electoral College came together this Monday to choose Joe Biden as the next president of the United States. Now, you might be thinking that happened back in November with the election. And if you think that, then you're wrong. Because we have the system known as the Electoral College. It is a group of 538 people who come together to vote for who the next president is going to be, and they represent each of the 50 states. So the amount of people you get in the Electoral College depends on how many people you have in Congress as a state. So let's say you're Massachusetts, okay? You get 11 electors of those 538 because you have 11 people in Congress, 2 senators and 9 representatives. Every state must have at least 3 people in Congress, and therefore must have at least 3 electors. This leads to some pretty weird situations. Let's say, for example, let's take California and Wyoming. California has 40 million people living in it, and it gets 55 electors. Wyoming has 500,000 people living in it, and it gets 3. That is not near proportional. Wyoming has a lot more voting power for the amount of people it has compared to California. So that leads to people in smaller states getting more say than people in larger states. It was created by the founders in the Constitution, but why did they choose it that way? Why didn't they just make it popular vote? It's because the South would not have agreed to it, because they had a smaller voting population, because it had such a large slave population. Therefore, they would have never agreed to a popular vote system, and this was the compromise they came up with. And it doesn't work for today. It's just not adapted today. It hasn't evolved with the times, simply, to put it most simply. They're here. They've come for me. Oh, no. No.
How dare you say the Electoral College is...
No.
How dare you?
It's Mega Man. No. No. I've barely survived my brutal assault at the hands of Mega Man 1776 _ Stop the Steal. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Kevin. I still don't know why we use that system, though. For those of you interested in anime, HMHS will be starting an anime club starting next month. Brianna will have more info about it in next week's holiday episode, so be sure to check that out.
If you haven't heard, the MIAA recently decided to give the green light for winter sports. Natalie is here with more on the story and the reaction of athletes here at the school.
Due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, sports have been put on hold since last March. Spring sports had to cancel last year, and fall sports were moved to a floating season in the spring. So what's going to happen with winter sports? As of right now, winter sports will be played this season after getting approved by the school. However, the season won't be like any other.
We'll have boys and girls basketball. We're also starting Esports, which is electronic sports. It's very competitive throughout Massachusetts. The one sport that did get pushed back by the MIAA was cheerleading, competitive cheer, so they pushed that to the spring season where you would prep for competitions and stuff just due to how close everybody is in contact. They looked closely at a lot of the rules and they tried to adjust what they could without changing the game totally. They've given leagues flexibility on how many games they want to play, when they want to start, if they want to do a season-ending tournament. So they're kind of leaving it up to the schools to determine what's best for them. Tryouts will start when we get back from winter breaks. If everyone can get in by the deadline, December 23rd, we'll have a better idea of how to do those tryouts. It'll be very structured and we have all the coaches committed to following all the protocols, and I think we'll definitely get something out of it. Everyone will look to get better this year and just continue to build for the future.
Some of the changes can be challenging for both the coaches and players to remember and follow in order to keep a safe environment for everyone while playing during a pandemic.
The only concern is like how close you're gonna be to, your defender, the people you're defending. You're not gonna be able to stay 6 feet away from the person you're defending.
The concerns are that we get the school shut down because another team would bring in the virus and it would go unnoticed.
Coach Gifford and myself are already planning how to run practices with a little more social distancing. We're kind of trying to figure out the best way to run practices in the COVID protocol world now. So we're planning that moving forward. So we have a plan for if there is a season, which we're obviously all hoping there will be. Hopefully, like I said, we can have some seasons and maybe we even expand that in the spring if the numbers are looking good.
As you may already know, fall sports had to be postponed to a floating season in the spring for safety concerns caused by COVID-19. Senior Bill Curtis shares his opinions on fall sports being postponed and winter sports being approved.
I personally have mixed feelings about it because my season was postponed, but football is way more of a contact sport than, say, basketball or cheer. Personally, I feel like if they're able to go through with everything and like players and coaches and officials stick by the rules that the MIAA set out, then they should be fine.
It is important to remember that in order to have winter sports, we all must work together. Be sure to do your part by wearing a mask and social distancing. To find out more information and possible updates, you can go to the MIAA website at miaa.net. This has been Natalie Holbrook with Code Blue News. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Natalie.
Staying on the topic of sports, as Andrew has already told you 47 times, Holbrook's esports team is about to be up and running. CBN reporter Joseph McLaughlin has more on the story.
Do you like gaming? If so, you're in luck, as now Holbrook has its very own esports team. This team will debut its pilot season during the winter sports time period, participating in 5 different games. These games include League of Legends, Rocket League, Smite, Fortnite, and Overwatch.
I had been watching the esports for the last couple of years, watching it develop, seeing who was joining in, seeing what it looked like. And last spring, when we went remote, that was when I really started digging in and trying to pay attention to how it operated, what it looked like, what possibilities there were for students. So when we returned to the building this year and we were still in a hybrid model, it seems like it might be a good opportunity to expand upon the opportunities that our students have here at Holbrook Middle-High School. So I started participating in some webinars and some other virtual participation, and then invited some folks to join me. Among them were Mr. Case, our athletic director, because he would be the person that oversees the league. And yes, it does fall under the athletics through MSAA, just like cheer does as well. And then we started reaching out to some of the people who might be interested in being coaches and having them learn a little bit about it, to the point we were ready to get ready for a pilot season.
Each game will have its own team made up of 8 players maximum and 1 coach, adding up towards 24 to 40 possible members depending on interest, and up to 5 coaches. Miss Neary, one of the coaches, is very excited about the new program.
Well, I think it's a great opportunity for all high school students, especially the ones who like to go home and game, so why not put that energy into a team and create a great learning experience, a team building experience, and just overall having a good time and going to state championships. You can actually do something with it, so I think it's a great opportunity. Personally, myself, I do game, so it was kind of a surreal experience when I was asked. I already love my job, so now this is just the topping on the cake.
Esports does qualify as a sport, and it falls under the MSAA, which is the Massachusetts School Administrators Association. Cheerleading also falls under that same group, that organization. So we would actually be working with a group called Playverse, and they actually set up all of the leagues as well. And there's a state and a regional section, and we will be scrimmaging, and there are many different school districts in this area that do participate. Some are also exploring whether or not to do a pilot season like us in the spring.
As of now, there will be one game a week for each team, with the rest of the week being practice sessions, just like any other school sport. Signing up will be extended until January 6th. If you want to join and haven't yet, please email Mr. Gorman or Miss Neary telling them that you are interested. That's all for today. This has been Joseph McLaughlin for Code Blue News. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Joe. That about it wraps up this week for Code Blue News. Be sure to tune in next week for our holiday extravaganza.
Until then, I'm George Starr.
And I'm Matthew Messina. See you next Friday.